Hitler took the brunt of the rage against the Nazi, as he was the puppet those who ran the regime hid behind. This is a common ploy used by those firmly in the service to self, as it is a common ploy used by those who want to evade responsibility for their actions. The scapegoat is often selected well ahead of the crime, else the crime being planned would not occur. Hitler is a classic example of a scapegoat who willingly played into the hands of those manipulating him, right up to the moment of his death. He had a damaged ego, such that it needed stroking, as he was keenly aware of his failings and how others felt about them. He was what is commonly called a loser, unsuccessful at all he tried his hand at. Women pitied him unless they chose to mother him, but neither of these reactions was what he was looking for, especially in light of an undescended testicle. Many damaged male egos, wanting to pump up their image, do so by becoming overly rigid, hoping this passes as strength. Losers are often almost irresistibly drawn to the promise of instant fame or money, and the power and attention this brings. Hitler also had an additional vulnerability, in that he loved the Jews, in a land that bore them much resentment due to jealousy over their accomplishments. He found the Jewish mother types especially appealing, as they forgave him his lack of accomplishments and accepted his lack of manliness with good humour. He loved himself in their presence, but this conflicted with his own need for an alternate self-image, and with German society in general. He thus developed a love-hate relationship which could have run either way. The balance was tripped when the Nazis began manipulating him, feeding him personal successes in return for hatred against the Jews. The vehemence of his hatred was fed by his need to deny his affection. His ranting against the Jews for their financial success was an easy route for him to take, due to his own history of failure at anything he put his hand to. He could put passion behind the party line that the Jewish bloodline was impure, as he was terrified that others would discover that he himself had Jewish bloodlines. His tough stance for continuous invasion of neighbouring territories and directives for exterminating segments of the populace was simply an act he hoped his lovers would buy, which they did, taking tough talk to be manliness. This act was easy for him to take, as he had no exposure to the consequences of his orders and speeches, as lacking in any real-life work, he had led a sheltered and babied existence. When those who played the strings of their puppet Hitler no longer had use for him, he was suddenly faced with the consequences of his actions and allowed others to kill him, acting as the dependent child he in fact was to the last.